Chicago police officers died on Monday after being hit by a train while chasing a suspected gunman, leaving behind their wives and children days before Christmas. "We have two young officers with young families," said Mayor Rahm Emanuel. "This holiday will never be the same for those two families. There are no words that can express the grief, the sense of loss. It just knocks you back on your heels. As we go about our time with our families, let us remind ourselves that there are others who cannot." Get push notifications with news, features and more. Following you'll get the latest updates on this topic in your browser notifications. Eduardo Marmolejo, 36, and Conrad Gary, 31, were struck shortly after 6 p.m. by a South Shore Metro commuter train near 103rd Street and Dauphin Avenue while in pursuit of a suspect who allegedly fired shots before fleeing onto the train tracks, the Chicago Police Department said in a statement obtained by People. They died instantly. Both men were early in their careers. Marmolejo was a 2-year veteran who became an officer after working in the emergency room, according to his family GoFundMe page. He is survived by a wife and 3 daughters. Gary worked on the force for 18 months. He's survived by a wife and daughter, his family GoFundMe page says. According to WGN-TV, Gary's daughter is just 6 months old. While doing the most dangerous thing any police officer can do, and that is to chase an individual with a gun, these brave young men were consumed with identifying a potential threat to their community and put the safety of others above their own, Superintendent Eddie Johnson said in a press conference on Monday, adding that the train that hit them was likely going around 70 miles per hour at the time. The men were the 3rd and 4th Chicago police officers to die while on duty this year. Commander Paul Bauer, 53, was shot and killed while pursuing a suspect on foot outside the Thompson Center on February 13, ABC reported. On November 19, Officer Samuel Jimenez, 28, died at Mercy Hospital after being shot in the neck while trying to protect others during a shooting at the medical center. This has been an immensely difficult year for the Chicago Police Department, and especially the men and women of the 5th District, who have faced tragedy after tragedy this year, Johnson said at Monday's press conference. So I'm asking all of you in Chicago to pray for the families of these 2 heroic young men. And please say a prayer for the men and women of the 5th District, who even tonight will stop at nothing to safeguard their community. The suspect Marmolejo and Gary were chasing, 24-year-old Edward Brown, was eventually detained on 2 felony charges of reckless discharge of a firearm as well as endangerment and aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, police said. On Thursday, Brown, who works as a line cook and has no criminal record, appeared in court, where a judge ordered that he be held on a $200,000 bond. He's since been released from a detention facility, arrest records show. If convicted, Brown faces up to 3 years in prison, NBC Chicago reported, though Chicago's Fraternal Order of Police has pushed for an increase in his charges to include murder. He's next due in court on December 27. Cook County Assistant State's Attorney Guy Lasazzo said Brown was heading home from work when he allegedly found a .380 caliber handgun in an alley, NBC Chicago reported. Lisazo said Brown carried the weapon onto some train tracks and fired it into the air. His shot was detected by the shot spotter system employed by the Chicago Police Department, Lisazo said. Upon seeing Marmolejo and Gary, who were responding to the call, arrive in their vehicle, Brown allegedly ran up the embankment. Body cam video from Monday showed the two officers running from their patrol car on the tracks towards the embankment, according to ABC Chicago station WLS-TV. A passing northbound train was thought to have masked the sound of a southbound train, which struck the duo. "My client had no intention of anybody getting hurt," Frank Castoros, Brown's attorney, told reporters, NBC Chicago reported. "What happened to these officers was completely unforeseeable. It wasn't a violent felony, he wasn't committing a forcible felony. He was shooting a gun off in the air. He was committing a Class 4 reckless discharge." Meanwhile, Marmolejo and Gary have both been laid to rest. Gary's funeral was held on Friday, while Marmolejo's was on Saturday. Members of the 5th District were supposed to be celebrating their holiday party on Friday, but instead united to mourn their colleagues, the Chicago Tribune reported. Photos and video from the funerals were shared to the Chicago Police's Facebook and Twitter pages. The most emotional clip showed hundreds of members of the community who lined the streets along the funeral's processions to pay their respects.